Hello and welcome to Cash in the Attic, the show that knows what to look for and where to sell it to help you realise that long-cherished ambition. Today I'm with a mother and daughter who are hoping to sell their antiques and collectibles to create a little bit more room. Coming up, we're hopeful of marital bliss in spite of the evidence on show.
Two items together always symbolise a long and happy marriage.
There's three on this, isn't there?
I know, he's the bloke next door.
Steady on. Will we have to rely on help from another dimension? And let's hope the force is with you. See what I did there? On auction day, we discover that everyone has a quality that's worthy of admiration.
Good moving parts on the charms, you know.
A bit like Paul then. Yeah. He's got quite a few good moving parts.
Charming and moving parts.
Yeah.
Discover why when the hammer falls. Today I'm in Hampshire with a family who are hoping to give the youngest member something special. Meet retired post office manager Brenda Hawes, her daughter Kirsty, and 3-year-old granddaughter Sophie. Brenda's from Darlington originally and used to share her 3-bedroom home in Hampshire with her husband John, who sadly died in 2005. Since then, she's made a few alterations to the house and has plenty more in mind, partly to benefit little Sophie, who comes to see her 3 days a week. Our expert today is Lancashire's finest export, Mr. Paul Hayes.
Good morning, Alan.
How are you?
How are you, mate? All right?
Good. You've dressed up for it, haven't you?
Oh, thank you very much. Due back at 4 o'clock. You know what it's like.
Should we get in there?
Go on then.
Yes, gag aplenty. He has almost 30 years' experience in antiques. Brenda, Kirsty, how are you?
Hi, good, yes.
Hi.
Mother and daughter, you're more like sisters. So go on, why have you called us in?
Well, I would like to build into the back of the garage to make a room that Sophie would be able to use as a playroom.
Yeah, she has plans, doesn't she?
She does, yes.
Is that your daughter?
That's my little girl.
Has she got a lot of toys then?
Too many. That's too many for me.
You need a massive room. That's going to cost quite a bit of money, isn't it? So how much are we hoping to raise?
Well, at least 400 towards the cost of it, but I'd like to raise more.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it was down to us, I think we'd be in trouble. But we've got an expert on hand, and what an expert, Paul Hayes. He's already having a look in the living room, I think. So the plan is, you go upstairs, and you follow me. Come on,
Right,
let's go.
OK.
Looking around, Brenda seems to be quite a collector, so I doubt we'll have too much trouble finding enough treasures to make £400. Let's see what Paul has for us so far. You see, I told you he'd be rummaging.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Nice
All right.
to
It's
meet
lovely to meet you too.
Yeah.
What have you found?
Well, I made a start already. I found a vase here that was designed really to be sold in Australia. So do you have any sort of Australian connections, any family out that way?
Not that I'm aware of, but I know where it came from. It was given to my parents-in-law as a wedding present in 1940. Mother-in-law had her paintbrushes in it at one stage.
Well, actually, you'll love this one. The pattern is called The Old Wife. I don't know what the relevance is for fish there and there, but we won't go there, I don't think. But that could have been a symbolised of the wedding, actually. You know, somebody might have bought it with that idea, with it called The Old Wife.
Could
Someone
be.
getting married, that might have
Yeah,
had
I
that
never
idea.
thought about that.
But there were two patterns. The first one is called Coral Strand, and it's all very much a coral reef which you find around Australia. And this one was called The Old Wife, but very similar colouring. It looks very tropical, a lot more than we get here, more like the Coral Island, doesn't it, I suppose?
Absolutely.
These are very collectible. In Royal Dalton is probably one of the most collected items of this type of collected factories. And this is called series wear. And what would happen in the 1920s, 1930s, they would do series on different topics. So they'd have like Charles Dickens, then they would have like William Shakespeare scenes, country cottages, which you've got to see a piece here. Sometimes you get coaching days. I do like the symbolism here as well. You get two fishes, two items together, always symbolise a long and happy marriage.
Oh, okay.
So if you see two doves, two animals of some sort, that's the symbolism behind
What it was about then.
Exactly, yeah.
There's three on this, isn't there?
I know, he's the bloke next door.
Steady on. I was going to say, he's the postman.
But joking apart, you've got this wonderful three-dimensional design. It's all hand-painted, and it is by one of the top factories. The only snag is, it's slightly damaged.
No.
Yeah, it's a bit distressed, Alan, I'm afraid.
Okay.
All right, so you've got a little bit of a chip around the bottom here, and you've also got a little crack around the top, which possibly where the paintbrushes went in.
Yes, yes.
So what do you reckon it's worth at auction?
Well, these two are highly collected, actually. I mean, people are missing certain plates, certain designs, things you haven't seen before. I mean, allowing for the damage, I mean, if I said sort of 40 to 60 pounds. I mean, how does that sound? Does that sound all right?
Yeah, it's
to
a
you,
little
or-
bit disappointing, but
Okay.
I realise it's damaged.
Well, that's it. People do tend to invest in ceramics. They want absolutely perfect examples. And even if you had this restored, it's always a damaged item.
Yeah.
So it's gone now.
What a shame it wasn't in better condition. Now upstairs, Kirsty has been busy too, finding an assortment of commemorative crowns and other coins, which belonged to her father, John. He was given some of them by his aunt when he was a boy. He added to the collection over the years, and now there are 60 pieces, including shillings and royal wedding crowns. Paul offers a value of 40 to 80 pounds.
Now then, I found some real retro
Yes,
antiques here. Look at
absolutely.
these. Look, there's a couple of decanters and some glasses. I mean, where do these come from?
They were bought as a Christmas present, I think, for us from my in-laws. There were originally 6 glasses, but they're down to 2, I'm afraid.
Well, you know, you're not on your own, actually. I think the combination with alcohol and glass...
It's fatal.
Yeah, but it is very important to find these in good condition. But do you know who the factory is?
I thought they were Whitefriars, am I correct?
Yeah, I'm 100% certain
Yeah.
that the Whitefriars.
Yeah.
They're one of the biggest manufacturers of glass in the UK, and they made lots of stained glass actually in the 19th century, but really they're known for the 1960s, this art glass. And for me it looks like something from the set of Austin Powers.
Oh yeah.
You know, that wonderful sort of retro, very modern. They were really out on a limb, out on their own really. But one of the most popular patterns was this bark effect that they used to produce. It's very, very difficult to produce, and the glass blower would hand make this, and then he would polish the pontle at the bottom, give a bit of quality there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice polished pontle,
Yeah.
and that's your end result there. What I'm checking for, as I'm going around, is making sure there's no cracks and no chips. What can happen is that if somebody has been too rough with a stopper and rammed it into the base, sometimes you get a crack or a bit of a chip, and likewise the stopper's chipped as well. But these look like they haven't been used actually. There was a time in the 80s where you couldn't give it away at all,
Right.
but it's come back in fashion. But the more colourful they are, the better. I've seen them in orange and blues. There's one called the Drunken Bricklayer, which is like 3 blocks sort of lopsided.
Oh yes, I
That's
think
nice.
I've seen one of those.
And there's
yeah.
one shaped like a TV set and a banjo. So there's all different collectors' markets. These are quite nice because they're in good condition. But are they sentimental at all to you, do you think?
No, not really. No, I've had them a long time. I'd like somebody else to have the pleasure of them rather than them just being stuck in a cupboard.
Okay. Well, if I said around the £50 mark, sort of 40 to 80 as an estimate, I think you could do quite well, actually. Does that sound all right to you?
Sounds brilliant, yeah.
All right. They'd be nicer with 6 glasses.
Yes, yes, I know, but yeah.
But
At
don't
least
worry.
I've managed to save 2.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, let's get them looked after and get them sold.
Yes,
eh?
lovely. Thank you very much.
All right. I'll put them there for now.
Yep,
All right. They're very
great.
delicate. Let's keep looking.
Okay.
Fashions change, even in glassware. At auction, we hope these decanters find a buyer who considers their retro look just the ticket. You've got a lot of stuff in this house.
I know, and I've cleared a lot of it out already.
So is your mum a bit of a hoarder?
Yes, she is. She doesn't like to throw much away. I think it was my dad more than anything. Always kept hold of anything.
It must be quite bittersweet for you, this whole process.
It is, yes. It's nearly 5 years since he died, and it's taken me all this time to start clearing things out, and a lot of the reason for doing it is to make space for my granddaughter. I've kept the really important things I consider to be important.
You say 5 years. How have you coped? How difficult has it been?
Initially, I had to go back to work to get the structure back to my life after all the upheaval, but after that, when I knew my granddaughter was on her way, I got the chance to retire, and I took it because I knew that I wanted to be involved with her and my daughter and helping bring her up. And that has been, well, she's a major influence in my life now. She's my best friend.
Tell me a bit what the plan is with this extension. Is it just a pipe dream, or is it a definite plan?
Oh, no. I've been mulling over this for the last 2 years, planning, getting quotations and things like that. It's going to be what I'm going to christen a very useful room. It's going to be a utility room. It's going to be food prep area. It's going to be a place where all the junk can be in cupboards. And it's also somewhere Sophie can play and paint and not have to worry about all the things going on the carpet or whatever. She can just use it and then double doors straight out onto the garden, which is her favourite thing to do, is just to be outside, especially when it's raining.
How long have you lived in this particular house then?
About 26 years?
25 years coming up, yeah.
And you've moved away, of course.
Yes, I moved out about 10 years ago, so
Right.
stayed close, not too far away.
What is it about this area that you love so much?
It's the woods, and every time I walk through those woods, especially when I'm on the way to the playground, just the birds and the natural things, and I just feel so privileged and lucky to live in such a beautiful place.
And it is, we've grown up here. It's friends, family. It's comfortable.
My nest moved from Darlington to here, and this is now my nest, and it's going to be a pine box jobby before I leave here.
Well, I hope that day's a long way off yet, Brenda, as you'll want to enjoy little Sophie's visits for many years to come. Now, to make our £400 target, we'd better find some more goodies to sell. Paul spied this set of midwinter china, all the rage once, but a little dated now. Designed by the Marquis of Queensberry, no less, it was a wedding present for Brenda and John back in 1967. There's a little damage, which is why the estimate is around £30 to £60. Upstairs, Kirsty has dug out her mum's stamp collection. I can't help wondering if her childhood fascination with stamps and first day covers led to Brenda's career as a postmistress. We'll find out, maybe. Paul values this collection of modern stamps at £40 to £80.
Ah, now then, Brenda.
See, you found watches.
Yes, now then. Were these something that you earmarked to sell, then?
Yes, they are. They're all to go.
Right. So who did these belong to, then?
Right. That was bought by my husband, actually.
Okay.
It's never been used.
Right.
That was my husband's watch that he wore all the time, and nobody wants it.
And I take it, was this your watch, this one here?
No, it was my daughter's. I don't think I've ever had such a tiny wrist as that. She's always had such a tiny little wrist. But it's not the style she wears any longer.
Well, do you know what? She's not on her own there, actually. The fashion for these very delicate, very feminine, very small watches does tend to be on the wane. I mean, people now tend to go for these very oversized man's watches,
yes,
really.
Yeah.
But that one is solid gold, as is this one. This is probably your main one amongst this.
That came from Brenda Hawes, from their paternal grandfather, and it went to my son because he was the only grandson.
Okay. This is a beautiful solid gold 1950s, 1960s dress watch. It's an automatic, which is lovely. The value does tend to be in the movements, and people go for Rolex, Patek Philippe, these very, very expensive brands. Atlantic's not one I've heard of, but it is a good one. It's got 21 jewels, which is a high number of jewels. Most watches have 17, so 21 is good. Let's have a look. And that's running away. You can hear a very, very faint tick there, which is great. And I think what's happened here, this has maybe had a leather strap at some point, or the strap's been replaced. If you have a look, the actual case itself, the watch itself is very much a rose gold. It has a high copper content, like a reddish tinge to it. But it doesn't quite match the straps. The strap's been added at a later date. The brand new one, that looks really good. I mean, it's in its original box. This one's 18 karat gold plated.
Right, okay.
So what it's been is that it's made of metal, and then there's a flash of gold put on top of it. So the value really has to be in these two gold ones here. But you know what? I think you're around 200 to 300 to give them a chance at auction. How does that sound?
Brilliant. Yeah.
What we might find is that the auctioneer splits one or two and puts them into separate lots.
Right.
But I'd say at least 200 for the sale. I mean, how does that sound?
That sounds brilliant. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 300 sounds better, but
It does.
200's fine. Yeah.
It won't be long before we sell these gold watches. I wonder how high the bidders are prepared to go.
150, 160, 170, 180.
It's going the right way.
190.
Keep going, fellas. This could be very exciting.
200.
200.
We've got it. Got it.
We forge ahead with our treasure hunt in Hampshire, searching high and low to find just the right thing to tempt those bidders. It's great to see everyone pulling their weight. Oh, I was just phoning for a pizza, but I seem to have dialed 1914. Hello?